everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Max AC channel. For this month, we will be continuing to make more drinks, but for this month's theme, we will be doing a 4th round of Juiceless July, where we'll be focusing on 5 different drinks that don't use fruit juices in their recipes. For our last episode, we will be making some homemade mead. For this recipe, you will need 2.5 to 3 pounds of honey, 1 gallon of spring or filtered water, 1 packet of wine or mead yeast, such as Lalvin D47, or EC 1118. You will also need 1 to 2 teaspoons of yeast nutrient, and if you wish, I recommend using some spice mix as well to flavor your mead, such as using some orange peel, coriander, cinnamon, or other spices. The one I'm using is from the Must Be company from their mead kit, but of course you can use your own spices. And you will also need some sanitizing solution to make sure everything is sterile. For equipment, you will also need a 1 gallon glass carboy, a rubber stopper, an airlock, a siphon and tube clamp for bottling, and of course some bottles for storing your completed mead. This will make about 1 gallon of mead, so just as needed. First, before you do anything, make sure to sanitize all your equipment thoroughly, including the carboy, stopper, airlock, and funnel. Then let all of your equipment air dry before you use it. Next, pour about half the water into the carboy and then add in the honey 1/3 at a time. Temporarily place the stopper on the carboy and give this a shake or stir until it's fully dissolved, and repeat this until all of the honey is mixed in. Then add in 1/2 to a teaspoon of yeast nutrient and mix this in until it's dissolved. Then add in the remaining water, leaving a few inches of headspace at the top. Next, empty the yeast packet into the carboy and give this a mix as well. Once everything is fully mixed together, give the top of the carboy a wipe to make sure everything is cleaned. Then prepare your airlock by filling it with filtered water or vodka. Then attach the rubber stopper and airlock to the carboy, making sure that it's fully secured. Then place the carboy in a dark, dry spot at room temperature, ideally 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and let this ferment for 24 to 48 hours. After a couple of days, you should see some fermentation occurring with the mixture bubbling. At this time, we'll degas the solution and add in some more nutrients. So carefully remove the airlock and stopper and gently swirl the carboy to release the CO2, making sure to work slowly to avoid foam overs. Then slowly add half the remaining yeast nutrient in small increments, swirling as needed. Then reattach the airlock and stopper and let this ferment for another 3 to 4 days. After a week or so after the initial feeding, we'll do the final nutrient addition. So carefully remove the airlock and stopper again and degas the solution. Then slowly add in the rest of the remaining yeast nutrient. Also at this time, add in the spice mix now if you wish. Then reattach the airlock and stopper and let this ferment for the rest of the month. If you wish, you can optionally swirl and degas the mead every few days to help with clarity and yeast health, but I don't think it's that necessary. So if you don't have time to do so, just leave the mead to ferment and it'll clear on its own. After 30 days or so, the fermentation should have slowed or stopped completely. So at this time, we'll bottle the mead. First, make sure to sanitize the bottles, siphon, and any other equipment you use, as before. We'll be using gravity to siphon the mead from the carboy. So place the carboy up high on a table or box. Then place your clean bottle down low on the floor or a lower surface. When you're ready to siphon, attach the tube clamp to one end of the tubing and leave it open. Then fill the entire length of tubing with some clean water. Then, once the tube is completely full of water, close the clamp. Next, place the other end of the tubing into the carboy, keeping the tip above the sediment layer at the bottom. Then, over a bowl, open the clamp to let the water flow out, and once you get to the mead, close the clamp again. Then, simply reopen the clamp with the tube in your bottle, and slowly siphon your mead 1 bottle at a time, pinching or clamping the tube to stop the flow between bottles. Make sure to do this slowly so that none of the sediment ends up in the final product. Once all of your bottles are filled, cap or cork them and store them in a cool, dark place. Mead is drinkable right away, but the flavor does improve and mature with a few more weeks or months aging in the bottle, so definitely try to save some to compare the change in flavor. But once you've bottled it, your homemade mead is ready to drink. For this week's episode, I've been wanting to make mead for a while now, and since mead is mainly made of honey rather than fruit, I thought this would be a great recipe to make for our last one this month. Also known as honey wine, mead is one of the oldest alcoholic beverages in the world, and it's surprisingly straightforward to make at home with just a few ingredients. This version is a simple traditional mead with a light spice blend of orange peel, coriander, and cinnamon. The honey gives it a rich floral sweetness, while the spices add a subtle warmth and citrusy note that develops more as it ages. The type of honey you use makes a big difference too. Wildflower, clover, or orange blossom honey will each give the mead a slightly different character, so it's worth choosing the one you like the taste of on its own. Even though this drink takes some time to make, there's something I enjoy about making recipes that require a longer wait. Unlike most of the drinks we've made that are ready the same day, this one asks for more patience, but the end result is really rewarding when you finally get to taste it. When it comes to storage, mason jars can work in a pinch for short-term use, but they're not ideal for long-term aging. They're not designed to hold pressure well, and the two-part lids can let oxygen in over time. The bottles I used aren't the best either, but I don't plan on keeping this batch for too long. If you want to store your mead properly for longer than a few months, I'd recommend using proper swing top or corked wine bottles instead. Once you're comfortable with the basic process, there are plenty of flavor variations you can try. You can make a melomel by adding fruit, a sizer by using apple cider instead of water, or make different flavored mead by experimenting with different spices and herbs. The base method stays mostly the same, you're really just changing what you add to the honey and water to flavor your mead to your liking. But whether you keep it simple or try different variations, this slightly spiced traditional mead is a fun project and is a nice drink to relax with as the summer comes to an end. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed the video. In the comments below, let me know how it went if you decided to make it, and let me know if you have any questions or if there's anything you want me to make next. Like this video, share with your friends and family, and subscribe to or follow this channel for more episodes of the Max AC channel. And remember, if you want to stay cool in the kitchen, turn your AC to the max and watch the Max AC channel. Making sure to work slowly to avoid foam overs. Oops!